Velvet Deceit. She said she was working late. Then I found what she was hiding in our closet. My heart clenched. 16 years of marriage. A daughter now off at college. A house that echoed a little more than before. We were quiet lately, but I thought we were reconnecting. Maybe slowly, maybe carefully, but still, moving in the right direction. She'd grown distant over the last few months. Less talk, less warmth. She laughed more with her co-workers than she did with me. But I blamed it on the deadlines, the long hours, the pressure at her firm. She said she was staying late again. I believed her. She always told me things straight, or used to. The signs were small. The way she angled her phone away from me, how she took calls in the hallway, how her voice changed ever so slightly when she said, "I'll be home late tonight." Still, she kissed me goodnight. Still brought me coffee every morning, just the way I liked it. It was enough to keep the doubts quiet, to keep hope alive. But something subtle had shifted. You can feel it in the silences, when they stretch too long. In the way someone touches your shoulder, not out of affection, but habit. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to be the suspicious husband. I chose to trust. Maybe that was my first mistake, or maybe it was my last gesture of faith. Because everything that came next started from that one quiet decision. To believe her when she said she was just working late. Until the evening I opened the closet. And everything changed. It was just an ordinary evening. Cold. Wind tapping against the window panes. I was heading out to grab something from the store, reached for my coat in the hallway closet. Nothing more than routine. Until it wasn't. The hallway light flickered a little. I remember that detail, because everything after that moment felt brighter. Sharper. Like the world suddenly shifted into high definition. I moved a few scarves aside, ones she never wore anymore. And there it was, a paper bag, folded over at the top, tucked behind an old shoebox. I didn't even think. I opened it. Inside were 3 things. A bottle of men's cologne. 2 concert tickets, Friday night, 8 p.m., center seats. And a card. Small, cream-colored. Just 2 words written inside. For us. That's when my fingers stopped moving. My thoughts didn't rush. They froze. Not anger. Not fear. Just stillness. Like the kind of silence that comes before a storm hits. The concert was in 2 days. A Friday. She had already told me she'd be working late again. I stood there, holding that bag, and time didn't move. The house was so quiet I could hear the fridge humming down the hall. 16 years. All the birthdays. Vacations. Weeknight dinners. They flickered through my mind, one after another, but none of them matched this moment. Nothing ever felt so suddenly unfamiliar. I put everything back exactly the way I found it. Not a fold out of place. Closed the closet. Picked up my keys. Drove to the store like nothing happened. Because that night wasn't the time for answers. That night was when the watching began. Everything in me wanted to explode, to demand answers, to make her look me in the eye. But I knew. If she had lied once, she would lie again. I didn't need suspicion. I needed confirmation. I didn't confront her. Not that night. Not the next morning. I moved through our routines like nothing had shifted. I made the coffee. Read the paper. Let the silence stretch between us like it always had lately. But inside, something had gone still. Focused. There was no rage, no panic. Only observation. I watched how she held her phone tighter when reading messages. How she locked the screen just a little faster. I noticed she started using her work laptop on the couch, angling the screen ever so slightly away. I counted the minutes between her replies to my texts, longer now. And that same week, she said it again. "I'll be working late on Friday." That was the night of the concert. She didn't know I had already seen the tickets, that I'd held them in my hand. She didn't know what I now carried quietly inside me. It wasn't a matter of catching her in a lie. The lie had already happened. Now, I was simply watching to see how far it would go. She moved around the house like normal, folded laundry, paid bills, still kissed me goodnight, still smiled when I made dinner. But that smile didn't reach her eyes. Not anymore. And every time she smiled, every time she laughed at something on her phone, I felt myself growing quieter. Not colder, just clearer, like fog lifting from a long, confusing road. I didn't ask questions, because I already had my answers. I just needed proof she was going to follow through. Friday came, and with it, the quiet confirmation I didn't want, but expected. She came home after work, changed quickly, said she was heading back to the office for a late meeting. Same calm voice. Same gentle tone. I nodded, kissed her on the cheek. Then I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then I followed. I followed her. Not too closely. Just enough to stay in the shadows. She didn't notice. She never looked back. I knew her route to the office, her building, the side street where she always parked. But this time, she didn't park. She pulled into the lot, got out quickly, and disappeared inside. I waited. Engine off. Hands still. 15 minutes passed. Then she came out again. No work bag, no laptop, and wearing something else. Not her usual blazer. Not her work shoes. Something softer. Different. That's when he appeared. A man I'd never seen before. Tall. Confident. Polished, but not flashy. He didn't touch her. Not at first. He just opened the passenger door. And then I saw it, the smile. It wasn't wide or loud or obvious. It was quiet. Private. The kind of smile that doesn't belong in public. The kind of smile that used to be mine. My chest didn't tighten. My hands didn't shake. There was no collapse inside me, only confirmation. And with that, a kind of calm. I lifted my phone. Clicked once. Just one shot. Her smile. His posture. The way she tilted her head, just slightly, toward him. That was all I needed. I didn't follow them after that. Didn't care where they were going. I already knew the destination. I drove home. Slowly. Windows down, even in the cold. I needed the air. Not for comfort, but for clarity. Inside the house, everything was still exactly as it had been. Laundry folded. Coffee mugs drying by the sink. Nothing looked broken, but something was finished. I looked at the photo again before going to bed. Not to hurt myself, just to remember what truth looks like. She had made a decision. Now it was my turn. I went back home. Didn't turn on the TV. Didn't scroll my phone. Just poured a coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and waited. The house was still. Lights low. Time slow. Midnight came. The front door opened softly, almost cheerfully. She walked in like nothing had shifted. Light steps. Humming some tune I didn't recognize. She placed her bag down, took off her coat. Still hadn't seen me. Then she did. And silence settled between us like a fog. Heavy. Wordless. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't accuse. I simply turned my phone around, screen facing her. The image from earlier, frozen, undeniable. She stepped closer. Saw it. Stopped breathing for a second. I watched the color drain from her face. Her eyes moved from the photo to me, but I didn't move. I said only one thing. Calm. Final. I'm moving out tomorrow. No shouting. No explanations. I don't want to hear anything. She didn't respond. Didn't cry. Didn't deny. She just stared, frozen, exposed. And in that moment, I knew she understood. Not just the picture, but the quiet behind it. The decision already made. The line already crossed. There was nothing left to negotiate. No speech could undo what had already unfolded in silence. I stood up, took my empty cup to the sink, and left her standing there. We had spent 16 years building a life, but it took less than 16 seconds to feel it collapse inside her. Not because I yelled, not because I punished, but because I didn't. I chose something sharper than revenge. I chose to leave with my voice intact. The next morning, I woke before the sun. No alarm, no sound, just instinct. The house was quiet, heavy with what hadn't been said. She was still in the bedroom, curled under the covers, motionless, but I knew she was awake, pretending to sleep, pretending nothing had changed. I didn't speak. I packed in silence, folded each shirt slowly, zipped each bag with care, not because I was sad, but because I wanted every sound to echo. Let her feel it. The weight of absence is louder than any argument. By the time the light shifted through the curtains, I was ready. I paused at the front door for just a second, then walked out. No note. No goodbye. That same afternoon, the first message arrived. Short. Desperate. Please, let's talk. I didn't respond. 2 days passed. Then another message. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I read it. Just once. Not to question, but to confirm that the unraveling had begun. A week later, a voice message. Her voice sounded thinner now. Not composed. Not confident. There was a tremble beneath every word. I ruined everything, she said. I'm scared. I don't know what to do without you. I listened, from start to finish, then deleted it without replaying. It wasn't anger that kept me quiet. It was clarity. She hadn't expected silence. She expected yelling. A dramatic scene. An open door she could push against. But there was nothing now. Just the vacuum left behind. That's what people don't understand about walking away. Sometimes the deepest cut is made without a word. Not because you want them to suffer, but because you've already accepted that they don't get to explain it away. 2 weeks passed in silence. No messages. No voice notes. Just the stillness of distance doing what words couldn't. I'd moved into a small apartment. Clean, quiet, temporary. It wasn't home, but it gave me space to breathe. And then, without warning, she appeared. No call. No text. Just a knock at the door, and there she was. Gray coat. Hair pulled back like she hadn't slept. Eyes red, skin pale. Not the version of her the world usually saw. I didn't speak. Just opened the door and waited. She looked down, then up. I don't have anything left to say, she whispered. But I understand now. I stayed silent. Let the moment hold its weight. She stepped inside, slowly. Not asking, just existing there. I've lost you, haven't I? She asked. Still holding on to some fragile thread of hope. No, I said calmly. You let me go? Back when you decided I wouldn't notice. She flinched. Not from volume. There wasn't any. Just truth. And truth hurts deeper when it's quiet. I don't want it to end like this, she said, taking one step forward. I looked at her, really looked. At the woman I'd shared 16 years with. At the face that once meant everything. And in that moment, I realized something. She still believed I might save us. Still thought I could reach back and pull her out of what she'd done. But I wasn't that man anymore. I'd walked through the fire. And I didn't look back. It already ended. I said, softer than before. You just ended it first. I simply accepted it. She didn't cry. Just nodded. One small, hollow gesture. Then she turned around. Walked out. She never called again. A month passed. The apartment still smelled like new paint and cardboard. Boxes half unpacked. Curtains still temporary. But it was quiet. And the silence didn't hurt anymore. There were moments, early mornings, late nights, where my mind wandered back. Not to the arguments. There hadn't been any. But to that exact second, frozen in a photo, where everything changed. I still have the picture. Not out of spite, but because it reminds me of a truth I almost didn't want to face. Her smile. Not wide, not showy, but unmistakably real. And not meant for me. I think about it sometimes. The way she stood by that car. The way he looked at her. Casual, like he'd done it before. I could have made a scene that night. Driven up. Demanded answers. Demanded her loyalty. But I didn't. Instead, I took a photo. One click. One frozen second. And then I left. Not just that parking lot, but the entire version of myself that would have fought to stay. Fought to explain. Fought to hold on to something already gone. People think closure is loud. But real closure is quiet. It looks like coffee at your own table. A folded shirt in a place no one else will touch. A text you don't answer. A voice you hear once and never replay. Some nights, I wonder if she tells people the truth. If she says, he just left. Or if she blames the silence. But it doesn't matter. Because I didn't leave in rage. I didn't leave to hurt her. I left because I saw the truth and didn't unsee it. And every time I remember that moment, I think, I'm glad I reached for the camera. Not the brakes. If you're still here, thank you. Now it's your turn. Share your thoughts below. Subscribe. More untold stories are on the way.